Arrowhead Pride today had an article that was based on some quotes from the media yesterday. And, it's one of those times where everything was kind of obvious. Everything that was in this article was things that we'd talked about before. The quotes from Patrick Mahomes were relatively uncompelling, but it led me down some research, and I have 11 stats from Patrick Mahomes, which lead to two stats from Patrick Mahomes, which mean that the NFL as a whole should be absolutely terrified. And then I want to follow this up with two wide receiver stats, which I think are going to absolutely blow your mind because of how startling these numbers really are. Now, the article from Arrowhead Pride is called Patrick Mahomes Teases Return of Kansas City's Deep Passing Game. It is written by Jared Sapp, and we get this quote from Patrick Mahomes. I think as I've gotten older and as I've learned more, I just try to find different ways to tweak certain stuff and try to push the envelope more and more, the league's best player explained. You all saw today. We tried to throw a few more deep passes and get back to the deep game and stuff like that. I think we've done a great job of mastering the intermediate stuff. We want to get back to having that part of the offense as well. Coach is really pushing us to push it down the field, and it's hard to do against our defense, but we're trying to make it happen. A couple interesting parts there. Number one, Andy Reid is pushing them to get this done. But number two, Patrick Mahomes is acknowledging the fact that he was doing things differently last year. Now, this bit of things is going to seem a bit laborious at first. Last season, Patrick Mahomes passed for 4,183 yards. This was the second lowest total of his career. And obviously, for all of these stats, I am excluding his first season, his rookie year, where he played just one game at the end of the season. So, 4,183 yards, the second lowest total of Patrick Mahomes' career. 27 touchdowns, the second lowest total of Patrick Mahomes' career. His touchdown percentage, what percentage of his passes led to touchdowns? 4.5%. This is a career low. On the flip side, what percentage of his passes led to interceptions? 2.3%, which was a career high. He had a rating of 92.6. This was a career low. A quarterback rating, a QBR, of 63.1. This was a career low. A yards per attempt of 7.0, which is a career low. Yards per completion of 10.4. This is a career low. Yards per game, 261.4. Not just a career low, that is a career low by 23 yards. Not 23 yards over the course of a season, 23 yards per game. A sack percentage of 4.3, which is a career high, tied for a career high, and an in-air yards total of 3,876. This is how far the ball traveled in the air over the course of the season after leaving Patrick Mahomes' hand. That is not just a career low, that is a career low by 400 yards. 400 yards over the course of a 17-game season, well, it was a 16-game season because he did not play the final week, is 25 yards per game of in-air yards that did not exist. This is seemingly, that doesn't seem like a big deal. It is a big deal because that is a play-by-play type of statistic here. So what we have is a quarterback who is not pushing the ball down the field. And obviously, right, we were all there. We saw those games. We understand that's what happened to Patrick Mahomes during the course of the season. He stopped testing defenses deep because it was essentially throwing away an entire down in the football game. Maybe you flick your wrist and you throw the ball downfield. Marquez Valdes-Scantling will be there. Whether or not it becomes a reception is a completely different story. Now, let's look at a couple numbers. So this is all bad stuff, right? Highest interception percentage, lowest touchdown percentage, rating and QBR, both career lows. Yards per attempt, yards per completion, career lows. Passing yards per game, career lows. The career low in passing yards per game is low by 23 yards. The career low in air yards is 25 yards per game, meaning that even the passes that he was throwing per game, whether they completed or not, were going shorter distances. Now, completion percentage. Patrick Mahomes had a 67.2 completion percentage. This is a career high. Patrick Mahomes finished the season with one Super Bowl. That is a three-way tie for his career high. The fact that Patrick, and look, you can go find statistics of your own. These are 11 stats that I put together that I thought painted a very conclusive picture of the type of football Patrick Mahomes was forced to play last season. There are no shortage of other statistics that Patrick Mahomes had career lows or second lowest totals of his career, etc. The big numbers, the two big numbers, passing yards and passing touchdowns, he had the second lowest totals of his entire career. The fact that Patrick Mahomes had all of these massive statistics end the season in career lows or second lowests, and he found a way to complete a higher percentage of passes than normal and still won the Super Bowl is something that should terrify the entirety of the NFL. But it doesn't stop there. There's a couple more points that we can make when looking at these numbers. Here are the top 6 names on the Chiefs' receptions list to end last season. Travis Kelce had 93 receptions for the first on the team. Rashee Rice had 79. That was good for second. Isaiah Pacheco, 44, was good for third. Noah Gray had 28 receptions. This was good for third place. Pacheco had, or fourth place, pardon me. Toney and Watson tied with 27 receptions. That was good for fifth place on this team. 27 receptions, an average of 1.588 receptions per game, was good for fifth on the team. Jerick McKinnon was with 25 receptions, was sixth on this team. or 7th, but 6th statistically. You see what I'm saying? So we have here the top 7 names in receptions for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you see the same thing that I see? I have highlighted 3 names for one specific reason. The top 7 names in receptions for the Kansas City Chiefs last season, only 3 of them are actually wide receivers. There are 2 tight ends and 2 running backs in the top 7 receptions for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not only that, the number 2 wide receiver is after 2 tight ends and a running back. That is embarrassing. The number 1 wide receiver here is a rookie. The number 1 wide receiver here didn't really start having a statistical season until about halfway through the year. There's a little bit more. Here are the receiving yards last season. Travis Kelce was number 1 on the team with 984. Rashee Rice had 938. Both of those players sat out the final game of the season. Then you had Justin Watson with 460 yards. Then you had Marquez Valdes-Scantling with 315 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4th place on this team was 315 yards. The number 5 name here, Noah Gray with 305. The number 6 and 7 names tied with 244 yards are Isaiah Pacheco and Sky Moore. Now, there is a little bit of a better ratio here for the 7 names on this part. There are 4 wide receivers in the top 7 receiving yards for the Kansas City Chiefs, but only one of them is anywhere within striking distance of 1,000 yards, that being Rashee Rice, who again was a rookie, who again did not really have a statistical performance worth speaking of until around halfway through the season. Now, there is even one more part worth looking at here when we consider how terrified the rest of the NFL should be of the Kansas City Chiefs. Newest Kansas City Chief, maybe not newest, that's not fair. Hollywood Brown last season had 51 receptions for 574 yards. Guys, those 51 receptions were the second fewest of any season he has played in the NFL. Those 574 yards were his lowest season total in the NFL. 51 receptions would have placed him 3rd on the roster last season. 574 yards would have put him 3rd on the roster last season. It is safe to say that Hollywood Brown is coming off of one of the worst seasons of his career, maybe the worst season of his career, negatively impacted by the offense in which he was playing. It is almost necessary to annotate this with the fact that Patrick Mahomes is probably coming off of his worst or second worst season as a professional football player as well. The two of them, with this deep passing game reinvigorated, which is to say nothing of Xavier Worthy, the two of those players, Hollywood Brown and Patrick Mahomes, working in tandem, should make this profile set of Patrick Mahomes stats and wide receiver stats for the Kansas City Chiefs both look much, much better during the 2024 NFL season. And not only that, as we talked about earlier in this video, Patrick Mahomes had the worst or second worst season of his entire career and got a ring out of it. Hollywood Brown is joining this squad in order that Patrick Mahomes' season is not the worst or second worst statistical season of his career. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs have moved forward this season. Here's another little thing that I wasn't planning on talking about. I really like Jared Wiley the more I look at him. I really like Jared Wiley the more I study his stats. I really like Jared Wiley the more footage I watch. Guys, I think Jared Wiley is a better a better receiving tight end than Noah Gray right now. As a rookie, he will be better than was Noah Gray last season. I believe this. So now the Chiefs have, on top of the names you're seeing on your screen right now, probably I would venture to wager Hollywood Brown is a more talented wide receiver than Rashee Rice. When you're talking about the talent portion of the game, Rashee Rice is a bigger, rougher guy. Rashee Rice is one of these guys who is going to be able to break arm tackles at the NFL level. Probably you don't even want Hollywood Brown attempting that. But talent-wise, Hollywood Brown, I would say, is much more talented than is Rashee Rice, meaning that the Chiefs will have a wide receiver that is better than any of the names on this list right now. It means that the Kansas City Chiefs will have a tight end, a second tight end that is better than the third or the fourth name on receptions here and the fifth name in receiving yards. So this could get very, very interesting, very, very quick for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.